Russell Westbrook had some awesome moments in that series for the Nuggets. Yeah, I mean, he had the great quote after the game where I'm paraphrasing here. He's like, "That's who I am. Sometimes it'll be a turnover. Sometimes it'll be a miss. Sometimes it'll be, a steal. Sometimes it'll be a block. But it's always going to be high effort, high intensity." You got to give it to Russ, man. You got to give it to him. I've always been a Russ skeptic. You got to give it to him. He had that was such an awesome moment. Yeah, he's self-aware. And dude, I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, he had the "pick the wrong person" quote as well. But Ross, that moment in the second half of the game where he had the intentional technical dunk and he hangs on the rim and screams, that was so awesome. That was such a great moment.
The vindication for him is like, that was just the statement dunk. It just sucks for them. Now they got to face the most, the buzzsaw that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I love that Russ threw out those turnovers because there's going to be quite a few turnovers going the Nuggets, going the Thunder's way in that series, man. I just don't know where they're going to get the playmakers to penetrate that defense. They're going to need Russ in the worst way, but this is going to be a really tough series for the Nuggets.
And only one day off after that series against the Clippers. And now you got to go into Oklahoma City, who had over a week off and who has been preparing for you. Good luck in this one. But you never know. Maybe too much rest could be a good thing for Denver and they continue rolling. We'll see about that. But Dan, what's your number one key to this Nuggets versus Thunder series?
They got to win the non-Joker minutes. And, if you go back to the regular season, the Nuggets had a plus 10.5 net rating with Jokic on the floor, minus 9.3 with him off per 100 possessions. In the playoffs, that's even worse. It got down to minus 27 net rating in that first series against the Clippers. And the opponents were shooting 63% from the field, 38% from three. That will not work against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the two games that the Nuggets played very well against the Thunder this year, they had to score 140 points in one of those. They got exactly what they needed out of the role players. So, Jamal Murray's going to have to continue to be playoff Jamal, but you're also going to have to see Michael Porter Jr. deliver, even though he's going through that shoulder injury. Aaron Gordon is going to be pivotal, and of course, Russell Westbrook. So, and shout out to Christian Brown, who's just been quietly having a really good season. I think he's also going to play a very important role in this series and doing his best to try to lock down somebody on the perimeter for that Oklahoma City Thunder team.
What do you make of some of Jokic's recent performances? Because he had 13 points in Game 5, 25 in Game 6, only 16 in Game 7. Of course, they didn't need a lot from him in that game, but it does feel like a little bit of a dip in production recently from Jokic. Do you think that's more just the way the Clippers have defended him with Zubats, Batum, some double teams mixed in there? Or is there anything Oklahoma City can take from this and perhaps replicate what the Clippers were able to do late in the series?
Oh, I'm sure that they're studying Jeff Van Gundy's system right now, because I think it is what you said. I think it's more of Jokic understanding, making the reads of what's the right basketball play, not forcing the issue. And he's always been so cerebral with the game and taking what comes to him. And I think that his dip in production is more so just a catalyst for his role players stepping up and him not having to do as much. I mean, that blowout on Saturday was a testament to just everyone else just stepping up and playing great. So they're going to need that if they're going to win. So I think that's actually a good thing coming into this series, is that they have some confidence. Those role players have some confidence that, hey, we can make some shots. And I think what the Thunder are really going to do, get up that point of attack and be aggressive with Joker. There's going to be a lot of open threes in the corner. They got to hit them. So we'll see how this kind of translates in the series.
You alluded to defense getting up on Joker. The number one thing I'm looking for is the defense against SGA here and Denver's overall defense, because you're going to see them mix up their defense throughout the series. You're going to see Christian Brown be the primary defender, but you're going to see them sag off of different shooters. Sometimes it'll be Caruso. Sometimes it might be Dort. They're going to try to see who's the cold shooter and try to sag off that guy to disrupt the offense. But most of all, zone defense has been kind of a theme throughout this postseason. We saw both the Rockets and the Warriors do it on Sunday. We've seen the Bucks do it in their series. We've seen a lot of teams use zone. More zone has been used in this postseason than I think any other series this decade. The Nuggets played more zone this season against OKC than they did against any other opponent. They had 60 possessions of zone this season versus 437 of man defense against OKC. When they were playing man-to-man defense, OKC had a 122 offensive rating. When they were playing zone defense, OKC only had a 93 offensive rating. And it was kind of like a janky zone. Like if SGA brought the ball up the floor, they'd trap them at half court with the two guys who'd typically be at the top of a 2-3 zone. And then a lot of the time, like once the ball was out of SGA's hands, sometimes Christian Brown would deny him off ball, like not like quite box at one level, but really playing ball denial. And a lot, like if SGA wasn't bringing it up, sometimes it just looked like more like a traditional 2-3 look, but it's working because OKC's time of possession, that 14 seconds when they're facing Denver man-to-man defense, 16.6 seconds when they're facing the Denver zone. And their shot selection is dramatically different as well. Against man-to-man, 25% of their shots come in the restricted area, 21% in the paint, 16% in the mid-range, 38% from three. Against Denver's zone, restricted area is only 10% of their shots, 17% in the paint, 15% from mid-range, and 58% from three. So the two big numbers there, 10% in the restricted area, 58% from three against the zone, 25% in the restricted area, 38% from three-point range against man-to-man. So they become a three-point shooting heavy team against the Nuggets zone. And I think that's what we're going to see Denver go to a lot in this series, is try to make Oklahoma City into a shooting team and live with the results. OKC did a hell of a lot better against zone defense against everybody else in the NBA, not named Denver. They had 119 offensive rating against everybody else besides Denver. Like I said earlier, only a 93 defensive rating against Denver's zone defense. But I think Denver's going to bet on that shot profile, turning them into a three-point shooting team instead of a team that lives at the rim. So all this said, Dan, all these numbers are true at you. Zone might be a plan for Denver against Oklahoma City, but like OKC's won 72 games in the regular season and playoffs combined for a reason. So how are you expecting this series to play out regardless of what game plans the Nuggets might throw out there?
I think the Thunder are going to win in 5, but I think you make a compelling case for them to make it more than that. And it's really because, SGA's strengths are getting downhill and operating the mid-range. So if you're forcing them on the perimeter to make those three-pointers, maybe you can have some shot variance your way. And it's not like the Nuggets are slouches at shooting threes themselves. So if that's going to be the key, they're going to have to push the pace as well. I think the Nuggets have to do their best to dictate the pace of this series. And if they can do that and match their three-point volume, they might have a chance at it. And, they do have the best player on the floor, Nikola Jokic. So you always have a puncher's chance when that happens. But the Thunder's defense is so good. I don't know how the Nuggets can last this out for more than 6 games.
So you got the Warriors and Warriors and Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. I've got the Wolves and Thunder in the West Finals.